already online. So I'll just go ahead and get started with today's presentation because I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So good morning, depending on where you are, or good afternoon. My name is Leslie Jones, and I am the Director of Meetings and Events here at AOTA. And I want to welcome everyone to the Inspire 2026 Speaker Orientation. And we want to thank you all for taking time out of your very busy schedules at the end of this year to be able to be with us to go over some important details to help you to prepare for your presentation at Inspire. And yes, this presentation will be recorded. And so if you need to go back at a future date, we'll be sharing a link with all of our speakers after today's presentation. So here's a little bit about our agenda for today. We'll start with a little bit regarding meeting logistics. We'll talk about special considerations. And then finally, I want to leave sufficient time to be able to answer any questions that you might have regarding preparing for today's presentation. And we do have a few staff members who are online with us as well. So they may be answering the chat. It's hard for me to pay attention to the chat and answer questions. So I'm going to ask for our staff that are here in our meetings and events team if they can monitor the chat as we go through the presentation, and feel free to interrupt me if there's something that you think might be helpful for me to stop and answer as we're going through today's presentation. So we're going to start with meeting logistics. So as you might have noticed, I am actually using the Inspire 2026 presentation template, and that template will be shown will be shared with everyone, and I'll be shared with you probably in January. We're making a few last minute tweaks to the template right now, but this is the template that if you are presenting any of our didactic sessions, this is the template that we'll be asking, and we're requiring all of our speakers to use this presentation template. And so this presentation template has been designed with accessibility in mind. And so we wanted to share a few best practices with you to help you as you prepare your presentation. So first off, when you do receive the presentation template, if you are using a previous presentation that you've put together and you want to try and apply this presentation to an existing template, we will let you know that if you do that, it's going to remove all of the built-in accessibility. So you just want to be very careful as you're building your presentation if you're using something that you already have in existence today. Also, we like to share with all of our speakers that for those who are presenting didactic sessions and will be using this template, all of our presentations are required to be reviewed by AOTA for accessibility. We're also looking at copyright to make sure that you're doing proper attribution, and we'll talk about that in an upcoming slide. So please keep in mind the deadline that you see here in bold on the screen, that March 12th, 2026 is the deadline, and we really ask for your cooperation in adhering to that deadline. We have more than 300 presentations as staff that we have to go through to review all of this, and obviously it takes us a very long time to go through all of these presentations. So we do ask that you adhere to that deadline. In addition, as you can see noted here on the slide, as you're building your presentation, don't try and cram as many words as you can onto the one slide, but try to break content over multiple slides. That really makes it much easier for the attendees to be able to digest the information. And then also, as I mentioned, please make sure that you are giving proper attribution and credit for all of the photos that or images that you're using. If it's a PowerPoint image or something that's coming from Microsoft Office, you can simply say credit Microsoft Office. If it's a personal photo that you're using in the presentation, we don't require any attribution on those. But when you do upload it, you might want to make a note that this is a personal photo. And so that's why you didn't include the attribution on the actual slide presentation. Poster presenters are not required to use this template that we're using right now, nor are they required to submit their poster in advance for approval. So we want to make note of that, that is not required for our poster presenters that are joining us today. So we will, as I mentioned, be emailing this template to all of the speakers in January. Once again, the deadline is March 12th to give us that sufficient time to be able to review all of your presentations. And there'll be some more detailed instructions in that email that we'll send to you. It'll be a different email in February reminding you of the deadline on March the 12th. And also just keep in mind that when you do, if you do have any problems with uploading your presentation to our presentation system, it only allows PowerPoints to be uploaded to the system. So don't make a PDF because it won't be able to be uploaded to the system. The system will only accept PowerPoint presentations. So we want to make sure that we shared that with you so that you keep that in mind as you're going through the approval process. So more details will come regarding submitting your presentation for approval in February, but in January, we will be sharing this template with all of our speakers. So I'll stop right here. Bridget, is there anything important that I might want to answer? Because I see there's a lot of questions that have been coming through.
There are. Some of them we've already addressed. If you use AI to create the image, do you want attribution within the slide or in the references?
On the slide, I would say if you're using AI, please designate that or note that on the actual
Mhm.
slide.
Yeah, and we've had speakers do that already for the fall events, and they just like put underneath like created using AI or created using Canva. Um, and then because if you create the image as well yourself, we would still want you to indicate that. Then the next is, so what is the attribution for this photo on the screen and how would it look? And I'm realizing I think it might have been in white text and got hidden.
I think so.
But it should just say image credit colon Microsoft Office or Microsoft PowerPoint. And then does the March 12th deadline also include handouts?
No, the handout deadline, and I can't remember, but Christina, who's in the chat, I know it's 4 weeks prior, so I don't remember what that exact date is, but handouts are due 4 weeks
Yeah.
prior,
So end
or
of
right,
March.
or six.
Yep. All right. And then for those that have been approved to use another PowerPoint template, do we need to use that AOTA title page like we have in the past?
No, I think it's okay. If you've already had
Mhm.
it approved by us, I think it's fine. We like to use that cover image just for consistency across all the presentations. If you would like to use it, thank you. And we love that if you would use it, but we're not going to require you to use that.
And then just to reiterate, because it's coming up a few more times, there is no template for the posters. You can use your own institution's template or create your own template, and the poster presenter handbook will have like guidelines on and visualization of what a good way to put together posters is. And their posters do not need to be submitted ahead of time, but they do need to be printed by you and brought to conference to display on the board. And I know Leslie's going to get to that a little bit later in the presentation. Um, and then too many questions keep coming in the chat. It's jumping around
That's
on
why
me.
I stopped.
Yep. All right. So if we've created diagrams utilizing icons from a platform, i.e. Canva ourselves, how would that be attributed?
Where was that one? I might actually have to say that one again, Bridget.
If you created diagrams utilizing icons from a platform such as Canva ourselves, how would that be attributed?
I would say Canva. You can say create it
Hmm.
using
Yeah,
Canva.
agreed. Yeah, that's what we were seeing a lot for the fall events. And then this is just a FYI in the chat, but in case you missed it, if you are working with an AOTA staff liaison for your presentation, please work with your staff liaison for any AI related questions. And then, oh, Christina shared handouts will be due March 27th. Um, Yes, so someone was running late. There is a specific template for didactic sessions, and that will be sent to you in January. This is what you are seeing right now that Leslie put together this lovely presentation on, but it is still making a few little tweaks. Um, can they use the AOTA Inspire logo on their posters? Or do you want to hold the poster questions till we get to posters?
Um, no, we can answer that. We would have to provide you with that logo. So we will have to get back to you. We'll check with our marketing team about that one.
Okay. Um, is this template used for clinical application of research panel as well?
Yes.
Okay. And then,
And I see that poster question, Bridget. When I get to posters
yeah,
about electronic posters,
yep,
remind me.
we'll get
I
to
have an
there.
answer.
Do you want to wait on the handout questions too?
Yeah, let's wait till
Okay,
we get to the handout slide.
then we're good for now.
Okay, thank you, everyone. This is great. I appreciate all of the questions. So, just some additional information for you as you are preparing your presentation. You will note that the font is Arial font, and we ask that you maintain Arial font when you're creating your presentation. The font should be at least 36 point font and no smaller than 28 point. And I want to reiterate, no smaller than 28 point. These are very large rooms. And imagine yourself in the back of the room. And if you're using 11 size font, no one in the back of the room, even with the imaging that we're using, will be able to read your presentation. So please adhere to that and stay between 28 and 36 point font. And you're always welcome to go larger than 36 point font, but please do not have font smaller than 28 point. And then finally, as we've been sharing, this template has been designed with accessibility in mind. So we are please asking you to refrain from using green font. Individuals with low vision cannot see green font. And so it's very important that green font is not used anywhere in your presentation. And we see this a lot, even though we tell people in advance, you're going to see it again when you receive your email from us asking you not to use green font. So I just really want to reiterate the importance of for accessibility, we ask that you please do not use green font in your presentation. And we appreciate your cooperation. And so do all of our low vision attendees on that matter. Anything else, Bridget, before I move on to room setup?
Um, really quickly, we just had someone who wanted us to reiterate the deadline, which is March 12th. People are answering that in the chat. And then the other question related to this slide was, can attributions be in a smaller font than 28?
That is the only exception to the rule. Yes, your attributions can be in a smaller font. So that can be in size 11. That is for us to make sure, legally speaking, that you are adhering to the copyright rules. But that's fine if you want to put that in size 11 or 12 font. But any kind of like here, what we're seeing, where main points in your presentation, those should definitely be 28 to 36 point font.
Okay, and then the other question on this slide, somewhat related, if I think this is what this is asking, what size font should references be? And if you could just clarify if that is, again, the attributions or like those references slides that speakers usually put towards the end, if those have to be in 28 point font as well.
Yeah, so Katrina, if you're talking about the like many speakers, what they do is on the last set of slides that they do at the end of their presentation, they will include all of your references from your presentation. And on the reference slides, it's fine if you go ahead and use that in 12 or 11 point font. I would also, when we get to handouts, just say that if you're including it in such a small font, that you might want to create a reference page for your handouts so that attendees are very better able to read what all of those references are. So that would be my suggestion to you. Okay, I think I answered that question.
Great.
So great. Anything else, Bridget?
Um, just to reiterate, for some people that are also asking, for the presentation as a whole. Will they get the recording and will they get the copy of the slide deck?
Yes, we will be uploading both this recording as well as the presentation slides to OT Learn, and we hope to do that today, no later than tomorrow. And so you will be able to refer back to both the presentation slides and the recording of this presentation.
Great. And then we are holding the rest of the questions for later slides.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, so now let's discuss room setup. So when you get to Anaheim, your rooms, all of the rooms will be set up with the following. They will have a laptop, which will have the Microsoft Office suite on it. All of the rooms are set with a podium and a head table. So if you have a panel presentation with multiple speakers, there will be a podium and then there will also be a head table, which will have a wired microphone on the head table. All of the rooms are obviously set up with an LCD projector and also a screen. You need a screen to be able to see your presentation. So that's included. And then in addition, all of the rooms will include wired internet. So if you are playing videos in your presentation, we suggest that you embed those videos into your PowerPoint presentation, and you can go to the speaker concierge on site and test those and make sure that all of those videos are working on site. Or when you get into the room, if it's easier for you, you can also just open up a browser and have if you're playing it from YouTube, for example, and have that browser available with the videos, and then you can play it. Like I said, all of the rooms will have wired internet connection in the room for you to be able to play anything from the internet. And then also, we want to make a personal note and reminder to all speakers that personal devices cannot be used. As you can imagine, we work with more than, I just told you, 300 presentations, more than 300 speakers. It's really like more than 1,000 speakers, but many of you are poster presenters. But for those speakers who are in the rooms with the audio visual, it's just too difficult for us to be able to connect everyone's laptop. So everything is all in the room, and we ask that you please do not use your personal devices. We ask that you not use them, but please use the setup that we have provided for you in the room. We've tried to take into account everything that you might need to be able to have a successful presentation. So hopefully there shouldn't be anything missing from that. So any questions, Bridget, regarding room setup?
Yes, we have one on room setup and a couple actually now, and one for a couple slides back. So we'll do
Okay.
this slide first. So that is, will the speaker area be on a raised platform?
It depends on the size of the room. For any room which has more than 250 seats in it, we will have a platform. Or and for any room that has less than 250 seats in it, no.
And then are the presentations loaded on the laptop or do we need to have the presentation on a USB?
So the wonderful thing is when you submit your presentation for approval to our audiovisual team through the system, it's actually that once we approve it, the AV team has it and it's going to be there and available for you in the room. You don't have to bring a USB. You don't have to plug anything in. Once we approve it, it's already in our AV company system, and there's no further action required on your part.
And then will there be a laptop that we will have control over, or will there be someone in the room controlling the laptop?
So you will have a slide advancer in the room. There will also be on the tables in the room a telephone number that you can text for any help that you might need. We strongly encourage you to arrive at least 15, if not earlier, 30 to 15 to 30 minutes earlier to make sure that everything is set up as you would like it in the room. And if you do see something that's missing or you need some assistance, you can text the number that will be on the table in the room, and our AV team will be on site there to support you.
And then would pointers be allowed, like laser pointers for the presentations?
Yes.
And then I'm combining two questions here. Is there tech support on site, especially for video checks? And if there are last minute changes to a presentation, can we use a USB if needed?
No, you cannot use a USB. We will have a speaker concierge, and I'm putting you on the spot. Bridget, do you remember what the room is for the speaker concierge?
Room 300 something.
I knew that was putting you on the spot. Sorry about that.
That's
Anyway,
fine.
there is a speaker concierge on site, and you can make, if you have like some last you changed, oh, I noticed a spelling error or something, you need to go make sure your final presentation is uploaded in the speaker concierge room on site. But once we approve your presentation, those are the only changes you really should need to make on site is that you just were going through and doing some final checks. You noticed something was just a little off. But really, once your presentation is approved, we ask that you don't make any major or substantive changes to the presentation.
And on that, I will say for the video checks, if you do have a lot of videos in your PowerPoint, I would go to the speaker concierge as soon as you get on site. They will be able to pull up your presentation and you can check and make sure all those videos uploaded and are playing correctly. Whatever you see in the speaker concierge room is going to be what you see in your session room. And then a couple other questions on the room setup, and then I'm going to go back to a question on photo attribution. Um, Will we be able to view our speaker notes on the loaded presentation?
Remind me, Bridget, how are the rooms set up? Because it's different
So
from
for
the
this one, you will
specialty.
be. Yeah, it's different from our specialties. So if you've only ever presented our specialties, there's a confidence monitor below you. Whereas in the Inspire session rooms, the laptop is actually going to be up on the podium with you. And on the screens in the room, your presentation will be visible, and on the laptop, the speaker view notes, so the upcoming slide, the timing, and all of your speaker notes with the ability to scroll if you have a large number of speaker notes is going to be available to you. I would recommend if you do have a lot of them, though, still to print them out just in case.
Yeah.
And then on that as well, we had someone who asked, so when we come into our room, will the presentation be loaded or do we have to find it in the system? And Julie actually already answered because Julie has spoken at Inspire before, and your presentation will be loaded on the laptop in the room, but always double check. So the laptop will just show the sessions in the room for that day. So you'll just click on your short course and pull it up. Um, and then did I ask that yet? Will the platform have a ramp?
So we'll have lifts. So please double check in your proposal that you identified that you needed accommodations to make sure that the that you have that checked off. And we keep a list of any rooms and we schedule rooms accordingly to have the lift in the room. Anything else?
So not on that. I do have a question going back to
Oh,
photos.
great.
And it's when parents provide permission to use photos for presentations, is this sufficient for an attribution? Photos courtesy of participating families used with parent/guardian permission.
Yes, that is acceptable.
And then we have, let's see, a couple more came in. No, those are just comments going on. I do have a question, but it's on handout, so I am going to hold that, but we will answer it soon.
Well, that's coming up next. So let's move on to our next slide, which is about handouts. So, session handouts. First, let's just start with attendees love handouts. They truly appreciate the handouts. So, your session handout does not have to be your presentation file, but really, we want to make sure that our attendees have something that they can take back to their work setting. So, they should provide practical takeaways for attendees. So, if you are uncomfortable sharing your slides because there is some type of proprietary information that you don't want out there, you can remove those slides and just create a handout that has only the slides that you would like for attendees to take home with them. It can also be a reference list. It could be as simple as a reference list. It might be a list of other kind of key resources. It might be action items, key points, but I do know that most of our speakers tend to use their presentation slides as their handout, and I think that attendees appreciate that the most. So that's what I would encourage you to do, but you're not obligated to do that. But we really strongly encourage every single presenter to please have some sort of handout. I can't tell you how many emails we receive following the conference asking, there's no handout for that session. I really want a handout. So please, please, please take the time to provide some type of handout for your presentation. Our attendees will truly appreciate that. So I talked a little bit earlier about the fact that you'll have to upload your presentation for approval. So that's in one platform. And I really want to emphasize there are two platforms that you need to be aware of as a speaker. The first one is where you upload your presentation to be approved. That lives with our audio visual company. That's what will be in the room with when you arrive on site in Anaheim. The second platform that you need to be aware of is our conference app. And our conference app is where you will upload handouts. So please don't think that once we've approved your presentation that you're all done and you don't have to take any further action. You still have to upload your handout. And so if you want to wait until your presentation is approved because you're going to use your approved presentation as your handout, that is going to go in the app. And that's not going to be uploaded by AOTA staff. Each speaker is responsible for uploading the handouts for their presentation, and we will provide you with additional information on how to upload your handout as we get closer to the conference. But as a reminder, once again, I can't remember, I think it's the beginning of April, but it's 4 weeks before the conference start is when we start to ask you, is the deadline for uploading your handouts. So please, we know because of the out kind of the overlap between the time it takes us to approve presentations and then when they're actually finalized, just be in the month of April before you get to Anaheim, please make sure that you're uploading your handouts. Once you receive that approval, make it easy on yourself and upload your handout, and then you won't have to worry about it anymore. So questions, Bridget.
Oh, we got questions. So just to clarify, are you referring to a little handout or an uploaded one in the app?
Only uploaded handouts. We do not, even for an institute, and there's special instructions that we will send to institute speakers. But even for institute speakers, we do not require printed handouts. We are green, and so all of our handouts are electronic.
And then if we are doing a poster, do we still upload a handout in the app?
That is up to you. You are not required to as a poster, but you're more than welcome to do that.
And then if I'm doing a 3-hour workshop and have multiple handouts planned, is acceptable?
Yes. And Bridget, do you want to talk about uploading multiple handouts
Yep.
into the app?
So into the app, you can upload and like Leslie said in the portal, you can only upload PowerPoints. On the handouts, you can only upload PDFs. So you have the ability to upload 3. Um, Once they're uploaded right away, if you need to delete one, you can. We don't actually like review and approve the handouts, but we do have to like hit a button once a day to say, yeah, push these through to show on the app. So once that's happened, you actually can't delete it yourself, but you can just send us an email at conference@aota.org. So if you are doing multiple handouts for a 3-hour workshop and it's more than 3, you'll just need to combine them into multiple files into a single file or multiple files into 3 different files for upload. And I can't tell quite from the time when this one came in, but for our next question. But if they want to bring handouts, can they make copies there or would they need to bring them with them? And if we do, how many copies would we suggest?
All the room sizes vary, so I can't answer that question for you specifically without knowing what room you're in. And that information on rooms won't even be posted in the conference app until February. But I would say that if you want to print handouts, yes, you can do that. I suggest that you print them before you arrive in Anaheim. I know that there's not a FedEx or UP office on site in the convention center. So there might be in some of the local hotels. The Hilton Anaheim is our headquarters hotel. And I do know that there's a FedEx or UPS. I can never remember which it is, but there's a
Mhm.
FedEx or a UPS office and the Hilton Anaheim, but there is no such place in the convention center, correct, Bridget?
Correct, yes. And it's FedEx or UPS. One's in the Hilton and one is in the Marriott across the street from the Hilton. And those are the two hotels closest to the convention center. So if you do have something that you do want a printed copy in the room for, you're welcome to do that. However, in the conference app, they will also have access to the handouts. So you can always encourage the attendees to pull up the handout in the app and follow along digitally versus having to print out an unknown number of sheets, depending on how many people might be in your session.
And that's why we
Um,
encourage you to upload early because people start to build their schedule and then they can look at your handout and determine, yes, this is a session I want to attend, or no, that this isn't a session. Maybe it's not what I thought it was going to be. So that's why it's so important to provide a handout. It really helps to drive the attendees and their decision making as they're building a schedule. But I honestly, unless it's just something where like I can see in a workshop where if there's something that you really need people to write on, I strongly encourage you to not print if you don't have to.
And then we had someone who wanted to know what app we were referring to. And so that is the conference app. And I did just drop the link to more information about it on our Inspire website where you can read it. And there's also a link to download it. I would highly recommend doing that sooner than later. And then another question about handouts is if we have an interactive element in our presentation, can a guiding sheet for that piece also be uploaded as a handout, or should we bring a printed version?
Absolutely, we can. I mean, you can as long as it's the max is 3. So yes, you can definitely do that.
And for our poster presenters, I promise we are getting to you guys very quickly. And then on a different note, this kind of goes back to room setup as well as handouts. Will we know the expected number of attendees ahead of the presentation closer to the date?
Do we normally share that information, Bridget?
We don't, only because we don't actually have a full way to track that. People are able to bookmark or star sessions within the app, but I would say a number of attendees don't do that, or they star a couple per time to make sure that, like, if a session fills, they have a backup already selected. I will say the rooms are going to be set up to fit anywhere from probably about 200 chairs to 600 chairs for some of those bigger ballrooms up on the third floor. So it really just depends on what room you're in itself. And then honestly, just the topic. We have some sessions that we never know which is going to be the one that overflows. So I would just plan on probably anywhere from about 75 to 100 on the low end for a room, all the way up to 600 in a room if you're in one of those bigger ballrooms for like a children and youth or rehab and
Right.
disability track.
That's what I was going to say. The largest rooms are the children and youth rooms and the rehab and disability. And those rooms can fit more than 600 people. And then all of the other rooms are probably between 250 and 400, I would say, set for that many. So it really varies.
And then just to reiterate, the max number of handout uploads is 3. Um, Yes, that 200 to 600 seat range is for the rooms themselves in the center, and workshops and short courses and clinical application of research are all in similar room types. It's just those couple larger ballrooms that we have. And it is not possible to request a larger room. We've already looked at the rooms based on the primary topic track. So we've already placed the rooms. We just haven't added them to the system yet, but we do know which sessions are in which room already based on the primary topic category track. So that way, if someone is like attending a rehab and disability, all the rehab and disability sessions are within walking distance of each other. So people don't have to run between rooms if one fills up. And uh, I think we already said this, but room locations will be available starting in February for attendees, and speakers. And then, Leslie, did you already say when pre-conference speakers are going to be getting information from you on their handouts
I
and
did
session size?
not say, I
Okay.
just said that they would be getting information. And I don't have an exact date. I would say January, February, we'll be sending out the pre-conference speakers. What we tend to do for you all is at a certain point in time, probably early February, I'll let you know how many are registered currently at that time. You will receive a deadline for when we need your handout because we will be emailing your handouts directly to the attendees. So that information will probably be due in early April for your actual handouts so that we can send those. Handouts for pre-conference institutes are not posted online because there is a fee for those, and attendees are paying an additional fee to be able to participate in the pre-conference sessions. So none of the pre-conference session handouts are actually loaded into the conference app. So more information will be emailed to our pre-conference speakers, I would say, in probably early February.
All right. And that's all the questions for what we've covered so far.
All right. Poster presenters, you've waited patiently. So, for poster presenters, here's a picture of what your poster board will look like in the room in Anaheim. Our poster boards are 4 feet tall by 8 feet wide. And when you are printing your poster, you should print your poster so that it is at least 4 feet tall and 6 feet wide. So you don't want it to take up the entire space here. But as you can see here, this is very readable. They have a QR code on theirs for more information and references. But this is a very good example of a poster presentation because it really helps you to see that the font is large enough, it's accessible. What you're not seeing are all of the people that are around you and that you're talking. But this should help to give you a good idea of what you need to do to prepare for your poster presentation. Please realize that poster presentations are presented in 2-hour blocks. You'll need to arrive early to put your poster up on the board. There will be pens available for you on site to be able to hang your poster. And then realize that we do a very quick turnaround. So all of those poster numbers, they change. So when there's like a little break and then there's the next 2-hour poster session. So we appreciate that you're having great conversations and we want you to continue those conversations, but also please be respectful of those who are coming in for the next set of poster presentations. So when it's time to remove your poster, please make sure that you remove them. If you need a chair on the ends of each aisle for accessibility purposes, there will be a chair available to you, and you can bring that chair so that that's available to you. If you have any concerns about that accessibility, please email us at accessibility@aota.org. That's managed by our meetings and events team, and would be more than happy to answer any questions for any of our poster presenters that require any accessible accommodations because we want to make sure that you have all that you need. So not a lot to say about posters, but I know there have to be a ton of questions because there's more poster presenters on this call than anything else. So Bridget, what are our questions on posters?
So our very first one in our photo actually helps answer it. Do we need to bring our own thumbtacks?
No, you do not. We
Yeah.
provide those.
And Leslie, if you want to mouse over that cup that's pinned to the board,
Oh,
that
there it
is
is.
actually that is where the thumbtacks are. So when you get on site, please look for those. There are thumbtacks in there that you can use to print. Um, that actually worked out perfectly that that is on the board. Um, then can we print on fabric?
Love a fabric poster. I think they're great and they're so easy for traveling. So, yes, absolutely, you can print on a fabric board.
And then my poster is the opposite, 6 feet tall versus 4 feet wide. Will that work?
No,
Yeah, because the board, as you can see, the board itself
it's
isn't, so it's going to
wide.
hang off and yeah, it wouldn't
Yeah.
quite fit. Um, if you have the ability to reprint it or redesign it, I would definitely do that. When do we find out the day and time of poster presentations?
You can
Those,
log, you should
yep.
have gotten an email because even the fall presenters have gotten their email. So you should have received an email. Please log into Attendee Interactive, which is our speaker portal, and you can see the time of your poster session.
And then is there a specific font size that needs to be used for the posters?
How big do we say, Bridget? I'm trying to. It's in the poster presenter handbook, but I can't
It
remember.
is. I want to say it's maybe 24 or 26 is the smallest, just so it's still visible. But looking at those posters, that doesn't seem to be quite right. So it might be
Right.
different. It's been a while since I've reviewed that. Sorry, guys.
I will tell
But
you
yeah,
there is a poster presenter handbook.
yes.
We will be sharing the handbook. So there's a handbook specifically for poster presenters, and then there's also a handbook for all of the other presentations. And we will be sharing that with you all, and it will have the guidance on the font size. I just can't remember off the top of my head. I
Mhm.
apologize for that, but that information will be in that poster presenter handbook.
And then Melissa agrees. Ooh, I love a fabric poster. Fits in a gallon Ziploc bag.
Yes.
Yes, very easy to pack in your suitcase. Can you just reiterate what size we recommend for the poster for this board?
Your poster should be at least 4 feet tall by 6 feet, 6 feet wide.
And then will the handbook be emailed?
Yes, it will. It will be on
Perfect.
the inspire.aota.org website. We will email it to you. And if we're really good, I'll try and upload it to the recording and the handout from this presentation so that you have it all in one spot.
And then we're talking about registration in a little bit, right?
Correct.
Perfect.
It's
I
the
will
next
skip that
slide
one.
after
I
this.
thought I thought it was. All right. And then is it a good idea to bring business cards for your poster presentation?
Sure, absolutely.
Um,
People feel very differently. Some people love the printed cards. Some people do a lot of electronic through LinkedIn. So it's whatever your preference is.
and then for the poster presenters, can we have a table with visuals? We have a lot of info that we were planning to have on display.
For safety and security reasons, we cannot allow any additional. The aisles are wide. There are hundreds of people literally in the aisles. And so having an additional table would be a safety hazard. So unfortunately, we're not unable to accommodate that.
And then will we consider electronic posters in the future? We've gotten that question twice now.
I actually have looked into electronic posters, and if we were a small association and we only did like 20 posters, yes, we could do that. But because we are a large association and any poster session probably has up to 200 posters, right, Bridget?
Yes, max 200.
Max 200 posters. It just is not possible. It's not feasible for the size of Inspire for us to have electronic posters. But I did look into it, and maybe at our specialty conferences one day we'll explore doing that. But just because of the volume and the number of posters that we have in Inspired, that's 200 kiosks that we would need to have, and the prices for that from an audiovisual perspective are just very, it's just cost prohibitive. So unfortunately at this time we will not be looking further into electronic posters for Inspire.
And then another question on the posters is do we have to present the poster by talking on the content before doing a Q&A?
When people come into the room, you're just going to start getting lots of people asking you all different questions. Some people like to just come and look at the board. Some people will engage you in a conversation. So it doesn't have to be a formal presentation, but you should expect that people are going to be reading the poster and then engaging in a conversation with you.
Um, so I'm seeing a couple of things. Sorry. a bunch of questions on this. If you need to change your information in the app, please make sure that you are logging into the speaker portal, which I'll drop a link to in a second once Leslie starts talking about the next slide. That information all pushes through to the app on a weekly basis at the moment. So any changes you make there will push through. And any questions that you have about anything like that, or if it's not working, please email us at conference@aota.org. That comes directly to us, and we can help you out with any of those questions. And for the sake of time, I'm going to let you get on to the next slide, Leslie.
I know time is running out. So let's move on to the next slide. Registration and housing. I know there have been questions about registration and housing in the chat. Registration and housing are now open for Inspire. It's actually been open since the end of October. So if you haven't booked your hotel or you haven't registered, now is your opportunity to make sure that you get that done. All speakers are required to register for at least one day of the conference, and there is not a speaker discount. But what we do ask is that when you go to register, there will be demographic questions, and we want to make sure that you answer the question that says, are you presenting or are you a speaker at Expire? Please make sure that you answer yes so that we can make sure to print a speaker badge for you when you arrive in Anaheim. Now, some of your presenters might be non-occupational therapy practitioners. And so if you have a non-occupational therapy practitioner that is presenting with you, we have a special form that you can use if they only are attending your session and they have no plans to attend anything else at the conference. We can make a special badge for you. And so I forgot to drop the link in there to get the link to drop in that. But as a follow-up, we can share that email with you, or you can email us at conference@aota.org, and we will send you the link to that form. And then you will pick up the badge for your co-presenter at the Support and Solutions booth on site in Anaheim. And the deadline to book your hotel is March 12th. Bridget, questions?
Yes, and I am typing some responses.
Okay,
So a couple things with the portal I'm just going to address rather than read all the questions on it.
go
Um,
ahead.
but all speakers will have access to the portal. That was not specific to the primary speaker. The only thing that is specific to the primary speaker are the emails that we send out. But any speaker can log in and see their schedule, see the events that they are, or the sessions that they are linked to. If for some reason your co-presenters are not showing up, it's probably because they were added with an email address that was not actually linked to their AOTA account, which is why they cannot see it. If that is the case, please email conference@aota.org and we can get that taken care of on the back end for you guys. And then, so we are getting, can you go on the registration for non-OT presenters and what that badge process
So
is?
if a non-OT presenter is only attending the session that they're presenting with you, please contact us at conference@aota.org. We will send you a form for you to complete for them. It outlines the name of your session, the name of the person that needs the badge. However, if the non-OT professional wants to attend the entire day of the conference, they will need to register at the non-member rate for the conference. So that's the difference. If they only are attending the one session that you're presented, check with us, fill out the form. If they are attending the entire day of a conference, they can pay. We have daily registration rates, and they need to register through the normal registration process.
And then also just to reiterate, when we say the speaker portal, that's also the submission site. We call it a couple different things. But it
Like
is
to
not,
confuse you.
we like to confuse you. But yeah, it is the submission site / the speaker portal once submissions become sessions. So it is, if you ever go to the call for papers page, there's probably an active call for papers with a link that you can click on that'll take you there. I highly recommend you bookmark it as well. We've dropped it into the chat. Really quickly, just going back to posters, unfortunately, you're not able to pin anything to the board as well. These posters really are designed just to be the poster on the board and the discussions with the attendees. So if you have any further questions about wanting to have additional things there, please just email us at conference@aota.org, maybe include a picture of what you're hoping, and then we can provide more specific information for you directly. And then as a this is a question for you, Leslie, on
Okay.
registration.
Okay.
I've seen this come through a couple times. If you are presenting, do you have to register for the day that you are presenting, or can you register for a different day?
You should register for the day you're presenting. Um, I'm trying to think of what would be a reason for you to register for a different day because you need a badge. That's the whole point of the register. As a speaker, you need to have a badge. We have security on site and they're checking for badges. So if you're not registered for that day, you wouldn't have a badge for that day. So I would say you need to register for the day that you're presenting.
And then if someone has a co-presenter that's not an OT but wants to attend other sessions, how would they go about registering?
A non-OT that wants to attend other sessions,
Hmm.
is that what they need
Yes.
to register for like a full day? They can do a day pass.
Hmm. And they would do that through the same link that you would register through as an
That's
attendee.
right. That's a
Yep.
normal the standard registration process. That's
Yeah.
correct.
And then that they need to email us to get the link for this non-OT speaker only badge, correct?
Correct. I said to
Yes.
email us. Yes.
Perfect. Wasn't sure when that question came in, and I was typing answers for other ones. Apologies. Um, all right. And then if we have one of the early sessions starting at 8 or 8:30, how early in the day will we be able to access the room?
Oh, you can, the room's open. The doors are open early. So if you come at 7:30, you'll be able to get into your room.
And if you are bringing additional things in for your session, please email us at conference@aota.org because there are regulations with the convention center on what can be brought in. So we would need a heads up and we would actually need to clear it with the convention center before you bring things in. Um, and then let's see, I'm trying to go through what questions we've already answered. Um, are there any recommendations for those who are flying to the conference with their posters regarding the best way to transport them?
I mean, I've seen the tubes. If you do the
Hmm.
fabric posters, those are the easiest because you could just fold those up. I think Melissa said, put them in a Ziploc bag, put it in your suitcase, and you're good to go. But most people, they have those tubes, and that's how they usually transport them.
Okay. And then can the speaker only badge be applied to a family member who wishes to attend only your session?
Yes, that's acceptable.
And then if we are a speaker who are also doing the expo hall, do both speakers need to register for full conference to be in the expo the whole time?
So with your booth, there's only one full registration that's included. And then, so whoever is using that would have one, and then the other person would need to purchase a different registration, which couldn't just be like a booth staff. If you want CE, this is very important. In order to receive CE, you need to have a standard registration, not an exhibitor registration.
And then can you clarify what kinds of things would need approval to bring in to the center? And that would really be anything beside yourself, or printed handouts if you were bringing those. But if you're trying to bring any type of equipment or larger models of things to provide demonstrations for, those would all need to be run through the center to see if they're able to be brought in. So if you have any question on whether something you're going to be doing needs approval, please just email conference@aota.org and we can let you know.
And Bridget, for the sake of
Yes,
time, because we only have 6 minutes left, I'm going to
yes,
ask you to respond to questions in the chat because these last five
absolutely.
slides that I have to zoom through.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for all your questions. It's very helpful to help us to inform us for future presentations on what information that people have questions on. So let's just briefly, in our last 5 minutes here, talk about special considerations. So we would like to remind all of our presenters that when you submitted your proposal for Inspire 2026, you agreed to abide by the policies governing accepted proposals. And that's basically what we've been talking about for the past almost hour. We've discussed things that are covered in the policies governing accepted proposals include copyright, attribution, all speakers are required to register for 1 day. All our speakers are agreed to use the audio visual equipment that we provide for you in the room. The policies also talk about promotion, that as a speaker, you should not be promoting or selling anything in your presentation, that presentations are of an educational nature. You agree to disclose any conflicts that you might have. But then we also wanted to take these last few minutes to just remind you as you are preparing your presentation about some additional considerations. So we want to remind you that AOTA is a profession, and the occupational therapy profession is a profession that's grounded in values such as altruism, equality, and justice. You can see what our values are positioned. They're listed here on the screen for you to see and read, and will be shared with you in the handout. But we ask that you keep this in mind as you go in and prepare your presentation, and also while you're on site in Anaheim, that you remember what our values and position are as an occupational therapy profession. So we want to also remind you as you are preparing your presentation to keep these things in mind. You want to think about representation and inclusion. We want to use respectful language and framing. And then I'm going to give you two examples about disclosures of positionality and how we can create safe spaces for our attendees and our speakers while we're on site in Anaheim. So as a reminder, there are different individuals that are in the room. So when we talk about our language, we want to make sure that our language, we're using person first language. And that also really depends on the community. Some people have different preferences, even within a community. So some with autism want to say autistic person, and others prefer to say person with autism. So we just want to make sure that our language and framing is respectful and recognizing what it is that the community prefers to use. We also want to be inclusive in our presentation. So we encourage you to include individuals with lived experience or subject matter expertise with whatever present in your topic that you are presenting. And this can even include the references and the research that you might include in your handouts. Now we're running out of time. So I did want to just share with individuals, depending on the topic, some sample language that you might use depending on the topic regarding positionality. So here's an example statement that you might use depending on your topic. As an occupational therapy professional, I acknowledge that my professional lens is shaped by my identity, my clinical experiences, and my current work in whatever topic that might be. In this space, I am open to be transparent about the privileges and the limitations of my perspective, and to remain open to learning about the diverse lived experiences represented in this community of occupational therapy professionals. So we just want to keep in mind that people are coming from all different backgrounds. We all have different lived experiences. And so this might be something, depending on the topic, that you want to include in your presentation. And then finally, we also, as I mentioned, want to create safe spaces for all of our attendees. So some topics that might be presented and Inspire might evoke very strong emotions, but we want to encourage an atmosphere of openness and compassion. And we want to remind people that if they need to, they can step out. I will share with you all following this presentation some sample language with trigger warning that you might use, where you say something like, this presentation includes references to trauma. Please take care of yourself in ways that feel right for you. You're welcome to step out, take a break, or engage with the material in a way that honors your well-being. So we just wanted to include those special considerations for you to help you to think about as you're preparing your presentation for us in Anaheim. I do apologize that we ran out of time to answer all of the questions. Is there something really, really quick? If not, Bridget will take the questions that are on the chat and we'll do a follow-up email to everyone.
Yes, I think we're good with most of the questions in the chat. The only thing just to reiterate is we will make sure that the examples of the statements that Leslie read are part of the handouts that we'll put up with the video, so you have them in writing as well as in the recording. I think that's it.
Thank you, everyone. We're so excited to have you present in Anaheim next April. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to email us at conference@aota.org. All of our staff, all of our team, we all monitor that. And just a friendly reminder that the AOTA offices will be closed until the new year. So please expect a delay in response for us as we will be closed for the holidays and will be open back up in January. So thank you all for participating today, and we'll see you in Anaheim. Have a good afternoon.
Oh, wait, just real quick.
Yes.
If you are having trouble with the speaker portal, email conference@aota.org. It could be that you need to update your AOTA login, or it could be that you were added incorrectly to the session, but either way, we can help you troubleshoot and fix it.
All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a good evening.